because we don't read tweets on his segment and we have to schedule around his tennis playing schedule, Todd Wishnev comes early on this Wednesday morning, the star of Wishnev Wednesdays, the star of the Showtime docuseries Action, and of course, the star of the Megapod, Toddy Wishnev from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Todd, good morning.
Oh, so a guy tries to become healthy who gets urged by his friend Gilly, you got to get healthy. And then you try to be healthy by playing tennis, and guess what happens? Then you get ripped for that too. Wow. No good deed goes unpunished.
Tell us how much weight you've lost. This is actually really good news.
I mean, it's not really about the weight. I'm down about 24 pounds in 90 days, but the blood work is the important thing because my blood sugar was just getting way out of control. My eyes were getting blurry when I was trying to watch the games down at the casino. I was up to like 276 on blood sugar. If you know anything about that, that's real dangerous. But now it's down into the 114, 120 area daily, which is really good.
There we go.
And, as an ancillary benefit, I've also dropped about 24 pounds because, I haven't eaten one thing in the last 90 days that has any fun to it. Like no rice, no pasta, no chips, no bagels, no pizza, no da.
First of all, this is outstanding news. Love that this is happening. And remember, Todd can get into a whole sidebar discussion about free will and how he has no idea why it's happening now. It just happened. That's a whole nother thing. What are you eat? What unfun
That's
things
for
are you
advanced
eating?
Level intellect, not for you. What am I eating? I'm eating. Yes, it's for advanced level intellect. Proteins. Your chicken breasts, your steak, your eggs, your that kind of stuff, and then your vegetables. A lot of cauliflower, a lot of. With a little tiny bit of light ranch dressing just for some taste, and then fruit. That's it.
Good for you. All right. Well,
some people would say you shouldn't eat fruit with diabetes, but I don't buy that.
We're rounding the bend. By the way, again, sincerely, this is awesome news. Yeah, we're all very happy about this. Good for you. We're rounding the halfway mark of the Major League Baseball season, or we have rounded it, about 11 days away now from the All-Star break. You watch as much baseball as anybody. You're betting it all day long, every day. Let's just talk about some rando stuff. Let's start in the NL East, where the Braves went out to this massive lead. How do you feel about the Braves vis-a-vis the Phils now?
Well, see, I had this friend who told me that the Braves are the greatest bet in the history of betting to win the division. Okay. Now, this guy is the kind of guy, when he gets onto something and latches on, he makes you believe nothing else could ever happen. He's not always right, but he's never in doubt. Never in doubt. So this guy said, bet the Braves. So we did. I got it at plus 155. He got it much better. Now, all of a sudden, the Braves are leaking oil like there's no tomorrow, and he's all over the Phillies. Now, we have to give him props because you can get both of them at plus money. So I ended up getting plus 155 on the Braves, and I got the Phillies at plus 230. As long as the Marlins don't win, I'm going to win some money. So, kudos to him for that. The funny part is just how he just makes it sound like it's a fait accompli. When you heard him talk about the Braves, it's impossible. No one could possibly win but the Braves. Well, maybe not, Stevie.
Would you like to share with the people who you're talking about, by the way?
Stevie Fezzik.
Okay, thank you.
Don't worry, no bets from Steve this week. He's taking the week off. He needs to. He needs to get settled in.
You got to give him plaudits for having both at plus money. That's fantastic. What I'm just laughing about is how he gets so fired up about something and says something with such verve in gambling. And there's nothing in gambling that's 100%, but he makes it sound like it's 100%. So just slow your roll just a tiny bit.
Wow. Sure, we won't hear about this next week.
No,
how about this Fakakta lineup that the Yankees are putting out every night?
Oh my gosh. My friend Will Hill is a big Yankees fan. And every night I go, Willie, is this for real? The lineup? I mean, it is unbelievable. And that's why, season long statistics, you got to be very careful with looking at season long. Let's say you're looking at, Ks, strikeouts or something, or walks or whatever you might be looking at to make a bet. Be careful with season long, because this is not the same Yankees that started the season. You basically got Goldie, Rice, and Bellinger, and that's it. after that, it's a long line of Spencer Joneses, Caballeros, Volpes. I mean, Escargas or whatever. I mean, you got just Escara, I think is his name. And it's just like never ending garbage. This is a horrible lineup. It's unbelievable.
If I gave you the Yankees lineup and then compared it to the Guardians lineup, who would you rather have right now?
Well, the Guardians that's your just garden variety, absolute garbage. I mean, you take Ramirez out, then you take DeLauder out. I think DeLauder's back now, but it's unbelievable. I mean, even with Ramirez, it was a terrible lineup. And now, Equan's not hitting, so he's down in the lineup. It's garbaggio. So I look to play first three unders when the Cleveland has a good pitcher and the other team has a decent pitcher, because I think a decent pitcher can hold the Cleveland team down. And if they have a good pitcher, they're going to hold the other side down. So I like to play first threes on those kind of teams where they just cannot hit.
Let's talk about bullpens. Let's start with your Buccos, your Pittsburgh Pirates. Not so good,
my
huh?
Buccos. I really feel like my Buccos should be higher than 43 and 43. They have a 20 plus 24 run differential. They're hitting the ball like crazy. This is the first Bucco team that's been, crushing the ball in quite a while. And we're just losing games because that bullpen has just been absolutely horrendous. And there were some good arms there early in the year, but now it's just been horrendous. So you got to be really careful with the Pirates bullpen. If you're going to play them, maybe you want to think about playing them first five. I would say the same thing with the Nationals. The Nationals just crush the ball, but they lose every game in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. So play the first one. Last night I had Cavalli. Cavalli is very quietly a pretty darn good pitcher for the Nats, and he strikes people out. His strikeout numbers are still kind of lowish, on it. Like yesterday was 4.5, minus 118, and he had 13 strikeouts. I mean, the guy sometimes, especially if he gets him early in the game, you can play him in game because, even if he gets him 3 or 4 in the first 2 innings, you can play him at over 6.5, over 7. He gets these big numbers a lot, Cavalli.
To your point about your Pirates.
You might have been sleeping on. Walker Buehler was just absolutely horrendous coming, first part of the season. He's quietly put up 5 starts where he gave up exactly 1 earned run, 5 starts in a row. So that's kind of interesting. If you're not, the baseball season isn't just one season. It's like pieces of seasons. Like you had the Yankees who were killing the ball early. Now they can't hit it all. You got the Texas Rangers bullpen was good early. Then they had like a really bad 2-week swing, So you have to really stay on top of these things. Cleveland Indians didn't strike out at all. All of a sudden they're striking out a ton. So you got to really, stay on top of these and look at stats like last 30 days, last 14 days to really get a better feel, I think.
Your Pirates, by the way, just to follow up on that, when I was doing the July most wins analysis, they should be a better baseball team based on both Pythag and sequencing. They should be about 10 games above 500, 5 by Pythag, 13 by sequencing. And they are projected, at least at Fangraphs, to tie for the final wild card berth. So if they can get some better bullpen play, man, that's going to be huge for them. Last thing, are you looking at anything today?
They're 43 and 43, and it's you say that stuff. They sound like a 48 and 38 team, really. So that makes kind of sense. Today, so far, the only thing I played was Josh Jung over 1.5 HRR hits, runs, and RBIs. He has really been hitting the ball lately. Josh Jung is quietly hitting 297. Who knew that? And he hits lefties. It's a lefty today they're going against, and he's 3 for 5 lifetime against the guy. So I believe it's is it Cantillo? I think it's Cantillo for the Guardians. So I think Josh Jung might be worth a look at over. I haven't done all the work yet, but over 1.5 on him, hits, runs, and RBIs. By the way, don't sleep on Milwaukee. I know every year we go, oh, can Milwaukee do it? Miz, Harrison, and Woodruff. Things that make you go,
I don't think anybody's sleeping on the Brewers. Todd, congratulations on the blood sugar. Go out there and play some tennis. Appreciate it.
You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro. On a numbers game, the right data changes everything, and the data behind Shopify is hard to argue with. Millions of businesses worldwide run on it, including our own VSiN store. When we launched, Shopify's templates and AI tools got us live fast. Professional looking from day one. No tech background needed. Shopify Checkout converts more customers and makes it easy for returning fans to come back and buy again in a single click. Shopify's built-in AI assistant Sidekick is there whenever you need help, building, troubleshooting, or just figuring out your next move. Check out what we built at vsin.com/store. Then go build something of your own. All you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. That's shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin.
Let's talk some more baseball. Paul Sporer joins us now. You can follow him on Twitter at Sporer, Sporer. He works at Fangraphs and, of course, is the host of the Sleeper and the Bust podcast. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning. How's it going, guys?
Doing very well. I asked Joe Sheehan. Joe Sheehan was on the show yesterday, and I was like, we're kind of the halfway point of the season. Give me your top 3 headlines, or what are the biggest headlines of the first half of the MLB season? And he had some pretty good answers, one of which was just the difference between the NL and the AL, the level of competition.
That's my first one.
That's your first one. Do we have any rhyme or reason for that?
Nope. I think it's just random. It happens sometimes. For years we saw the central divisions of each league being bad. Now it's just kind of permeated the entire American League while the whole NL's up. It's just kind of the ebbs and flows of teams. I'm sure we could go find a time. I don't have one off the top of my head, but I don't think it would be terribly difficult to go back and find a time where the AL was way up like this and the NL, maybe had a couple good teams and then little else going on the way we're seeing in the American League right now. So I just think it's random, but it is a massive thing this year.
A lot of people with Cam Schlittler tickets to win Cy Young got a little spooked yesterday. Are you?
No, guys, listen, don't do a Cy Young ticket if you're going to lose your mind over every start. You're going to drive yourself crazy because guys are going to have bad starts. There's nobody, maybe 68 Gibson, but there's very few guys that you're going to find that don't have a blip start or 3, 3, 4, a handful of them. Because when you're so good, dropping 7 innings plus of, 1 run, 2 runs, all those starts, you can have a few duds and be fine. Now, listen, he faced the best team in the league, and that happens. The Tigers come in, curb stomp you. I can't even keep a straight face saying that. It was stunning to see him give up all those homers to my Tigers. I will admit that I was completely floored by it. But no, I wouldn't be worried at all. The only time you're going to worry about something like that is on like September 30th as opposed to June 30th, because then time's running out.
Yeah, Schlittler, 4 innings is all he lasted against the Tigers yesterday. Gave up 6 earned runs, 7 hits, 5 Ks against 1 walk and 85 pitches. So he is entitled to a bad outing. So I'm curious about your answer to this question. So we do the monthly MLB markets here. June obviously just ending, July beginning today with a whole new slate of games, and everybody at 0-0, if you will, 0-0 for the month of July. The Miami Marlins ended up winning the month of June, and they did it with a 20-6 record. I had the Cubs. They ended up 16-10. They never had a shot. But 20-6, I've been doing this for, what is it now? 2.5 years. So it's 15 months of these markets. I went back, and we actually have a graphic that shows all of the winning percentages of the best teams in all these 15 months. Guess who ended up with the best winning percentage of all the winning teams in all those 15 months? The Miami Marlins of this year, 20-6. It's amazing. Is there a team? Forget about the month. Let's just talk about the rest of the regular season. Do you feel there is a team that is or teams that are under the radar that the average fan is like, I'm not even thinking about them, but you are, that can get to the promised land? Promised land meaning playoffs.
God, this is so embarrassing because I'm going to say the Tigers. I am. And again, for those that don't know, I'm a huge Tigers fan. That's why it feels embarrassing. But I'm not a homer. I don't think I come around talking up the Tigers at every turn. But when you look at a healthy Tigers, look, Skubal was opposing Schlittler yesterday, remember? So, and he had his best start since he came back. By the way, the first 3 starts, there was nothing significantly different. He himself had given up a few homers. I mentioned how Schlittler got bit by the homer ball yesterday. It was Skubal who got bit by the homer ball in his first couple starts back, making it look like maybe he was a little bit off, but he really wasn't. And he showed that yesterday in the Bronx. They got him back so quickly. They got Flaherty going again. Mize back at the same time. I think the Mize coming back with Skubal is such a big deal there. So their pitching is completely back on track. Now it has to start showing up in the bullpen before I can really, really get on board with my favorite team here, because this bullpen sucks. So Cater Montero kind of being pushed out of the rotation into the bullpen is a big help. They need more help there. They need to either find some guys off the wire, AAA, or get something going via trade or pickups. The hitting, I think, is there, though. I really do. Gleyber Torres will eventually be back. I think the hitting is coming along more. I still think this Tigers team, because of the American League being the way it is, like you said, nobody's run away and hide. I even think the division is played in play. 9 games is a lot, but what is it, 6.5 at the wild card? I really do think that the Tigers are right there. And I'll give a little shout out to the Red Sox too, a team I thought was going to be amazing coming into the year. Maybe they're starting to find some things. They need some offense. So if you could take the Tigers offense with the Red Sox pitching, I think you'd really, really have something there. Obviously you can't do that, but yeah, I think those 2 teams are both still very much in it despite a lot of hurdles in their way.
Yeah, I got the Red Sox in July. That's my team in July. I've asked you this about the American League. I ask everybody in the American League because it's an impossible task. Who are the 6 teams that make the playoffs in the American League? I'm not going to ask you that this time. I'm going to ask you about the National League, which is, okay, I spot you the Braves and the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Brewers. Who are the other 2 teams?
So you gave me the 2 AL East teams, the Brewers, the Dodgers, and I need 2 more teams. By the way, I don't know that you need to spot me the Braves. Can I say that? Is that a hot take?
Okay.
I'm not locking them in. Because, they played way over their skis to begin with. We were all stunned by it, and I think it's finally starting to come back to them. Obviously, the Phillies have rose up to them more than the Braves have come down, but I'm not sure they're locked. But let's take them as your lock. I will accept that. I'm going to go Cubs and Padres. And the reason I think the Padres are still going to get there, despite their wretched offense and a 4-game losing streak right now, is because I still think that they're all in. Like, they still want to push those chips in. They're going to go out. Preller's going to go out and make moves to try to improve that offense. I think it's going to be more in the vein of the Gavin Sheets, Ramon Laureano additions that they made in previous years. Sheets is still healthy and playing. Laureano out for them, unfortunately. I think it's going to be that type of player as opposed to a big name guy, because how many times can they keep trading away their best prospects? But I do think that the Padres are still going to be there. I want to say the Pirates, but push come to shove, I do think the Cubs, another team that I think is going to push pretty hard at the deadline. I think they will over push. They'll do more than the Pirates will, and I think that will be enough to kind of get there.
Okay, that sounds about right. So teams in the NL Central that have renewed hopes this year, I'm talking about the Cardinals and the Pirates specifically.
Yep.
You don't buy them in the end.
I mean, I wouldn't say I don't buy them like they're trash. They're going to completely fade. I am going to give the edge to the Cubs, though, because I don't think either of those teams are going to push. And I think we could even see something with the Cardinals where they do 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They maybe deal some guys while still kind of hanging around unless they have a big run. The Pirates, they've never shown the propensity to really push. If they go out and make a big trade, I'll be on here the next Wednesday changing my tune. But until I see that from them, I got to go with a team like the Cubs that will push.
All right, Paul. Appreciate it as always, man. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you. Same to you. You guys take care.
Chris Valika, the Bear from Fox Sports, kind enough to join us for a second segment. Contest this year, football contest. Chris, what are you planning on playing?
I was just going to ask you, should I enter millions?
Yeah.
I've not entered millions ever. I've done Survivor. I've done the Westgate College football pool. I did the old William Hill Caesar College or the Nugget College football contest. So I've never entered circa millions.
How many times have you won the Matt Humans Invitational?
Once. I won it once. I finished runner-up once, and then I lost the tiebreaker for 3rd this year. So I've done pretty well in that. And then I finished this past year top 10 in the I think I finished 8th. It was in the Superbook college football contest. I finished top 10 in the William Hill Caesars one, the top 20, I think, in the Golden Nugget football contest. So I've done pretty well the last couple of years. So yeah, I have until Bet Bash to figure out what I want to do.
Well,
that's right. Oh, would you like to promote that? What are you doing at Bet Bash?
Yeah, no, Spanky was kind enough to invite Bear Bets out there to do a live show, Q&A type pod area. So myself, Sammy P, Jeff, Will Hill will be out there for Bet Bash. I believe it is Wednesday afternoon. I think Spanky has us slotted in. So yeah, nice of him to think of us, to have us come out there and do that. And yeah, we'll be out there and looking forward to meeting people and enjoying the event.
Awesome. That's awesome. Doing that at Bet Bash. Again, Bet Bash August 4th, I believe, starts the first week of August this year. So like a little bit, I think like a week earlier than normal, but right in that early August pocket. By the way, let me just say this on a personal note, because I've sort of said this to you off air. You don't need to react. You don't know that I'm about to say this, but I just want to say, if anybody over there at Fox Sports is listening, the coverage of the World Cup is lesser for not having you on it, Chris. I loved watching you on there. And I love watching your videos on social, on Instagram and elsewhere. So for those who are missing your fix just beyond shows here and elsewhere on VSiN, they can go to your Instagram for all of those. But I just wanted to send that. You don't even need to say anything. But I'm just saying we miss you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's kind of a way for me to stay connected to the event and coverage. And I wish I was a part of it out there for whatever. I'm not, but yeah, doing these videos, I think have been kind of cool, and I've gotten some good reaction from people. And in the little daily columns that I've been doing for the website, believe I'm up around 13 units for the start of the tournament. So people who are reading and listening are making money, even if I'm not there in LA, a part of the set.
That's a beautiful thing. Up 13 units. Speaking of which, the United States of America, a special numbers game investigation reveals that Team USA is in action tonight in the round of 32 against Bosnia-Herzegovina. Throw out the records when these two sides meet. How are you betting this?
Well, I am probably the rare person that actually has been through, I have driven through Bosnia. Like when you have to make the drive from Dubrovnik to Split, you go through a little area there where Bosnia juts in. And to see the signs for Sarajevo and stuff, pretty cool. This is not going to be an easy match tonight for the United States. At Bosnia, ask Italy how fun it is to play Bosnia, thinking that you're going to get through and qualify for the World Cup, and you don't. They are a big team. They are a physical team. They are not very fast. I think that's an area that the U.S. can potentially try to exploit, but they're going to hunker in. They are going to be ready for a defensive battle. They are not going to make things easy. They are difficult to execute on in set pieces. So that will be something. Remember the U.S. with Berhalter, that last match, they had so many opportunities with some great crosses. I don't think they will have an advantage in the air like they did against Turkey. So I think the U.S. should advance, but do you want to lay $8 or whatever it is to do that? I certainly wouldn't. I think that would be a very uncomfortable 2 hours that I would not want to sit through. I just, again, kind of like I said with Congo, I don't know if Bosnia are capable of scoring. I mean, I know the U.S. has had that long stretch where they didn't concede against Australia, but they've conceded a bunch in all these matches. I just don't know if Bosnia will get open chances to be able to do it. Maybe they'll get a counter, maybe they'll get a set piece and be able to do it. The bet I like the most here is both teams to score no. I see a possibility for 0-0. I see a possibility for 1-0. I would be surprised if Bosnia did score. I mean, I wouldn't want to say disappointed, but I expect the U.S. to get through. But again, could this go to extra time? Yeah, I think it could. The difference from being the hunter to the hunted, psychologically, is a big deal. And Mauricio Pochettino referred to that the other day at the press conference, talking about how the mentality, and we've seen Germany go out and we've seen these big name teams really struggle with a lot of the expectations. And Bosnia has, I don't want to say a free roll, but basically free. We can take out the host nation tonight. And I think they're going to go out and they're going to play a very physical type game. Curious what the card prop might be, or the foul prop, because it could be one of those two. It could be really, really physical, and depending on the officiating, I don't know who the official is for tonight. There's been a couple of things that in the group chat we've been able to give out, once you learn who these officials are, is there a prop to play on cards or whatever? So fouls or cards might be something to look at once we see who the official is for tonight.
Total cards set at 2.5. Any other card markets you'd like me to look at, Chris?
What's total fouls in the match? Is there anything like that? Two and a half seems 2.5 seems low. I could see 3 yellows tonight. I could. I think you see. Not only will Bosnia be. I mean, remember all the cards are wiped out right now, so like you're playing with a little bit of a free roll. Like I hate to use that crutch again, but you're going to see, I think, an aggressive Bosnian team, and I could see the U.S. kind of getting one back to try and like, okay, we're not going to back down and be. I think I've kind of talked myself into over 2.5 cards as well.
All right, just now on air.
Yeah, just now. On the way, live radio with you and Kelly. We've talked it out.
There we go.
I don't want to linger on this, but that was not the most effusive Team USA analysis of this game. Like I'm a little nervous now after listening to you.
You should be. You should be. It's a massive opportunity for the U.S. to not only get to the round of 16, but if you look at who they potentially would play in around the 16 match, whether it's Belgium or Senegal, it's an opportunity to get past that and likely play Spain or Portugal in a quarterfinal. Now, again, it's funny. People are jumping to conclusions in my big soccer chat, like, oh, who would the U.S. rather play? And
yeah, that was going to be my next question.
I would rather play Belgium just because Belgium then would have the pressure of being favored, and they've been dubbed the underachievers, and they had a friendly with the U.S. a little ways back, and it was a close first half, and then lineup changes, and Belgium blew away in the second half. I think Senegal, there is so much more variance that would come into play playing them as it would with Belgium. Belgium, you're probably supposed to, you should lose to Belgium. Belgium should advance. But Senegal, we've seen in past World Cups as well, a lot of these African nations have given the U.S. problems in the knockout round. So I'll be very curious to see what happens in that match. And yeah, rooting for the U.S. I don't want the hype train to kind of cloud everyone's thinking that the U.S. is on par with all of these top contenders. They're not yet. They're much better than what they've been. But this is not going to be like France going out and annihilating Sweden yesterday.
USA! 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 Was that the hype train? That's the hype train? Okay.
Kelly, if Norway played the United States, who would you be rooting for?
Oh, no, I would have to go. I'd have to sit on the sidelines for that one. I couldn't even watch.
Well, that would be the World Cup final. So that would be.
We're going live ANG.
Live ANG.
I'm sure
there's the first ever live ANG road trip.
Yeah, there we go.
Remote.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't gone on any since this is the exception. Everybody else, not us. Norway.
By the way, thank you for your tweets before with Sam Ginsberg and Todd and talking. You reminded me I need to do my hard boiled egg whites right now. Ooh. I got like my containers. You pour the egg white in there, you boil them. Instead of having the yolk in the middle, you just have a hard-boiled egg white. So I got to do that when I'm done here before the match starts.
Will you take a video of that and post it online for everybody?
Would you like me to?
I
don't know if that's quite scintillating content or not, but
ladies and gentlemen,
just post it with no comment. I want to see what people say.
If egg talk is what you were looking for this morning, we've got you covered. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Let's
Protein
go.
Power.
Chris Fallica, the Bear. Let's go, Team USA. Nick Whalen, who is the co-host of the show that follows us here at the top of the hour. It's called Prop Points. He does it with Jeff Erickson each and every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Nick joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line after a spate of NBA trades. How you doing, Nick?
Doing well, guys. Yeah, it's unfortunate timing. We just have nothing to talk about right now in the NBA. It's like every 3 minutes, I'm getting another notification that the Lakers have overpaid for a role player.
Is that your take on the latest with them?
I'm just wondering what the plan is here. Was LeBron James, kind of aware of what Rob Pelinka wanted to do? Was it truly the Lakers saying, we don't want you back? Was it LeBron looking around and saying, okay, I think the twilight of my career might officially be arriving. Although I thought it was interesting that, LeBron, through his agent, Rich Paul, made it clear that he's not saying next year will be his final season. And I don't blame him with the way he's still playing. I thought when he was out there last year, he was still at a second, third team all NBA level, especially in the playoffs. But look, so the Lakers have basically, they parted ways with LeBron James. They parted ways with Marcus Smart, who actually gave them shockingly good minutes, I thought, in the postseason. And you gave up 2 firsts, 2 swaps, and paid Walker Kessler an expensive contract. You've now brought in Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes, Andrew Mamukelashvili. You kind of have this 2-man team with Luka and Reeves. And I think when you compare that to a lot of the teams around the Western Conference, it looks pretty good. It's still not, to me, a team that is anywhere near San Antonio, anywhere near the depth of an OKC. So it feels like a retooling, but I don't know that I feel tremendously better about this Lakers team. I think they might be better off if they could have figured something out with a 41, 42-year-old LeBron James, even if that wasn't going to be a long-term partnership. It's a new era of Lakers basketball, but I don't see the Lakers right now as anything more than a fringe title contender and a team that is once again going to depend extremely heavily on Luka Doncic.
Well, that's the thing with all of this Western Conference stuff, right? It's like, it's great, like sports talk radio stuff, including, by the way, LeBron to Golden State, if that were to happen. But I don't know that it leads to any bets in the West as long as Oklahoma City and San Antonio sit on top of that. The real question does become the Kawhi trade, right, to Toronto, because we're just on the heels of seeing the Knicks win the NBA championship, showing that you can come out of sort of the middle-ish of the pack of the playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. So we have evidence of that. Now we see Mitchell Robinson, by the way, go to the Celtics. What do you think about that move? What do you think about Michael Conley going to the Celtics? Mike Conley going to the Celtics? What do you think about Kawhi to Toronto? Does that lead to a bet, perhaps?
Well, first and foremost, I think you're right that the way the Eastern Conference has operated really for a while now, but especially this past year with a team like the Knicks, who, were not some 65-win juggernaut during the regular season. I think it's a copycat league. And I think you have teams looking around and saying, okay, the Knicks are good, but they're not unbeatable by any means. Even though they toppled the Spurs in the finals, I still think there's this, there are these behemoths at the top of the West where you're going to compare even the good rosters and say, okay, nice try, but you're not beating those teams. But the East to me feels pretty wide open still. Again, you have a lot of good teams at the top, but you don't have any great teams, especially if the Boston Celtics do end up moving on from Jaylen Brown. They'll get a nice package, but they probably won't get the equivalent of what second team All-NBA Jaylen Brown would give them alongside a healthy Jason Tatum. So I think with Kawhi now in Toronto, and we have to throw out the obvious caveat that it is Kawhi Leonard. He usually misses at least 15 to 20 games, sometimes significantly more than that. He's 35. All these things are adding up. So there is some risk here for the Raptors, but I think we have a very clear big five now at the top of the East. Boston for now still has to be in that group. Again, even if they trade Jaylen Brown, they're going to find ways to replace that production. Obviously, the Knicks are in that group. Toronto's in that group. The Miami Heat, which we'll see how they fill out the rest of this roster, especially with Norm Powell officially moving on to the Chicago Bulls. And then the Cavaliers, would be the other team that I'd throw in there. The odds right now would tell you that Detroit has shorter odds to win the Eastern Conference, but I feel like the Pistons have been kind of passed up. This was the 60-win 1 seed a year ago, and it's feeling like they're trending toward losing Jalen Duren. Yeah, you brought in John Collins. I don't think anybody's extremely fired up about that. I guess he's your Tobias Harris replacement. I think they'll probably end up settling for trading for Tyler Hero, but is that really somebody you trust in the postseason? And look, if LeBron specifically ends up back in Cleveland for a third time, then we have that true big five. You could sell me on those 5 teams finishing in just about any order at the top of the East.
Yeah, it's, and again, sort of with the eye towards, okay, can we get ahead of a bet? Let's go back to Jaylen Brown for a second. So sure. I'm going to go with the Chris Felica viewpoint, which I think is the correct one, which is because I initially thought, Jaylen Brown will get over the whole Giannis trade talk stuff. It's kind of even a compliment that he would be included as the guy for Giannis, one of the all-time greats. But apparently they can't make it work out behind the scenes. Apparently he's got to go. And so, okay, we go to, let's just look at the Kalshi market for Jaylen Brown's next team. We sort of alluded to this earlier. Staying with Boston or retires is actually the short shot. I don't believe that. After that, it's Cleveland plus 455. Western Conference teams, Portland and Denver, and then Detroit. So Cleveland and Detroit, let me just ask you to speculate, but with sort of some a calculated, educated answer, which is, do you think Cleveland or Detroit would make a run at him? And if so, would you immediately think that team is the out and out favorite to win the East?
It would, of course, depend on what they're giving up. And I'm very curious what both teams would have to offer in that deal. Cleveland, in theory, I think would have to be built around Jared Allen or Evan Mobley. And, the Celtics going out and bringing in Mitchell Robinson today makes you wonder, okay, is that potentially off the table? But if they could get their hands on Mobley, I think that's probably the best possible one-for-one replacement you could find if you're the Celtics. But to answer your question, if Jaylen Brown ends up in Cleveland and that's the piece that pushes LeBron James to join that team at a significant discount, then yes, the Cavaliers to me would have to be the favorite in the Eastern Conference. I get the connection with Detroit. Obviously, they'll make a run at Jaylen Brown. I just don't know what you're sending back. If you're the Detroit Pistons, is a pick space package and throwing in Ron Holland. I don't know. Could you pry Asar Thompson away from the Detroit Pistons? Like that's nice. That's fine. But if I'm Boston, I think that means I'm taking a pretty significant step back in the short term. And I'm not sure the Celtics are all that interested in doing that. So I think Detroit will make a run at Jaylen Brown. I think they'll come up short because there will be enough teams interested that can offer better packages. But Cleveland is the value right now to me in the Eastern Conference. Even if they don't get Jaylen Brown, if they just go out and get LeBron James with the way that James Harden is talking about taking a discount to enable that to happen, like if they could bring in LeBron essentially without giving up any of their core pieces, I know that would still require betting on James Harden to make it to the finals and win the finals, but Cleveland is the team I would bet right now in the East. I'm very nervous about how Miami is going to be able to fill out the rest of this roster. And I'm not as high on the Bam Giannis pairing as a big two as the market generally seems to be.
What can we expect at the top of the hour on prop points?
I am probably going to try to hijack the entire show and just talk about NBA agency. I know we're going to be required to talk some World Cup. Jeff's going to have all of his baseball plays, but I'm going to maximize basketball talk to begin the show. I will promise you that.
All right. Well, I'll give you a suggestion here. Kelly and I are going to do some NFL season win totals on the other side, and the NFC specifically. That's what we're doing next. Nick, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Prop points, top of the hour. Guys.